Meghan Markle probably thought she was sharing a simple family moment, but within hours her latest photo had sparked another online debate. And if you've been following the Duchess of Sussex for any length of time, you'll know this isn't the first time, and it probably won't be the last. What was meant to be a celebration quickly turned into thousands of comments, questions, and opinions, with supporters defending Meghan and critics once again analyzing every detail. But here's what makes this story so fascinating. It's not really about one photo. It's about a pattern that seems to repeat itself every single time Meghan shares something with the public. Whether it's an interview, a documentary, a podcast appearance, or even a family picture, the reaction always seems to follow the same cycle. First comes a post, then comes the media coverage, and then comes a debate. And that's exactly what happened again. So what did people notice this time? Why are some viewers calling it another harmless family moment, while others believe it reveals something much bigger about Meghan's relationship with the public? And perhaps the biggest question of all, why does every Meghan Markle photo seem to become a controversy? Stay with me because this story goes far beyond a birthday picture. And before we get started, if you enjoy royal family news, Harry and Meghan updates, and the biggest royal gossip stories making headlines around the world, make sure you subscribe to Sussex Tea because we're just getting started. So what exactly happened? Meghan Markle recently shared photos to celebrate Princess Lilibet's birthday. What should have been a simple family celebration quickly turned into a social media debate. Some users focus on details within the photos. Others question why certain family members weren't prominently featured. And many people began comparing the images to previous family photos. Within hours, articles, videos, and comment threads started appearing across the internet. Suddenly, a birthday post wasn't just a birthday post anymore. It had become another Meghan Markle debate. The interesting thing is that this isn't the first time something like this has happened. In fact, if you followed Meghan Markle's public life over the past few years, you've probably noticed a pattern. A new photo appears, a new interview is released, or a new project is announced, and almost immediately the internet splits into two sides. One side argues that Meghan is unfairly criticized no matter what she does. The other side believes that every public appearance is carefully calculated and designed to generate attention. And that's exactly why this latest photo has become such a talking point. Some people looked at it and saw nothing more than a mother celebrating her daughter's birthday. Others saw something entirely different. But before we get into those reactions, it's worth asking a bigger question. Why does Meghan attract this level of scrutiny in the first place? There are celebrities who post family photos every day without creating headlines. There are public figures who share personal moments and receive very little attention. Yet when Meghan does it, the conversation seems to explode. And whether you see that as unfair treatment or simply the reality of being one of the most talked about women in the world depends entirely on your perspective. There are people who believe the answer is simple. Meghan Markle is no longer just a celebrity, and she is no longer a working royal. Instead, she occupies a unique space somewhere in between, which means almost everything she does gets viewed through a different lens. A family photo isn't just a family photo. A social media post isn't just a social media post. Every image becomes part of a larger conversation about her public image, her brand, and her relationship with the public. And that's exactly why this latest birthday post generated so much discussion. Within hours, social media users were zooming in on details, comparing it to previous family photos, and debating what it all meant. Some people praised the picture and called it sweet and genuine. Others questioned why certain details appeared the way they did. And then, as always, the media stepped in, articles began appearing, commentators started sharing opinions. And before long, what began as a birthday celebration had turned into another royal debate. The fascinating part is that both supporters and critics often look at the exact same photo and reach completely different conclusions. One group sees authenticity. The other sees strategy. One group sees a family moment. The other sees public relations. And because neither side is likely to change its mind, the debate keeps growing larger with every new story. What's even more interesting is how predictable the cycle has become. The photo gets posted, the reactions start rolling in, headlines begin appearing across news websites, YouTube creators start making videos, and social media fills with opinions. Then people begin arguing about the arguments themselves. Before long, The original photo almost becomes irrelevant because the conversation has evolved into something much bigger. It becomes a discussion about Meghan's reputation, her popularity, and her place in the public eye. And whether you support her or not, it's hard to deny that very few public figures can generate this level of attention from something as simple as a family photograph. That's why many observers believe the real story isn't the picture itself. The real story is the reaction, because reactions reveal how people feel. And right now, opinions about Meghan Markle remain as divided as ever. But here's where things take an even more surprising turn. The debate surrounding this latest photo isn't happening in isolation. It's arriving after years of documentaries, interviews, podcasts, public appearances, and royal family headlines. In other words, people aren't viewing this image with a blank slate. They're viewing it through everything that has happened before. Every previous controversy, every previous headline, every previous argument. All of that baggage follows every new post. That's why even a harmless image can suddenly become the center of a much larger discussion. Some viewers immediately connect it to past events. Others compare it to previous statements. And some simply see another example of how impossible it has become for Meghan to avoid public scrutiny. Whether that's fair or unfair is a debate in itself. But the reality is that scrutiny follows attention, and attention is something Meghan continues to attract on a global scale. And perhaps that's the biggest reason why this story keeps growing. People aren't just discussing a photograph. They're discussing what the photograph represents. To supporters, it represents a mother sharing a happy family moment. To critics, it represents something else entirely. And because those interpretations are so different, every new image becomes a battleground for competing narratives. That's why the comment sections are often more interesting than the actual post itself. Scroll through enough reactions and you'll find completely opposite opinions sitting side by side. Some people are defending Meghan passionately. Others are criticizing her just as passionately. And in the middle are thousands of viewers simply trying to understand why every single post seems to generate so much controversy. That question may actually be more interesting than the photo itself, because the answer tells it a lot about celebrity culture, public perception, and the unique position Meghan occupies in today's media landscape. But before we go any further, there's something most people never stop to think about. What if the biggest challenge Meghan Markle faces today isn't criticism? What if it's expectations? Because no matter what she does, someone is going to be disappointed. If she stays private, people ask why she's disappeared. If she shares something personal, people ask why she's seeking attention. If she launches a project, critics question her motives. If she remains silent, critics question that too. And over time, this has created a situation where almost every public move becomes controversial before anyone even knows the full story. That's exactly why this latest photo sparked such intense reactions. People weren't simply reacting to the image. They were reacting to years of opinions they had already formed. And once people form strong opinions, every new event tends to reinforce what they already believe. That's where the story becomes less about Meghan and more about human nature. Think about it. Two people can look at the exact same photograph and see completely different things. One person sees a happy family sharing a special moment. Another person sees a carefully managed public image. Neither person believes they're being unreasonable. Both think they're seeing the obvious truth. And that's what makes these debates so fascinating. They're rarely about the photo itself. They're about perception. They're about trust. They're about whether people believe what they're seeing. In today's world, where every celebrity image is analyzed and every public appearance is scrutinized, perception can sometimes become more powerful than reality itself. And if we're being honest, that's one of the reasons Meghan continues to dominate headlines years after leaving royal duties. Most public figures eventually become predictable. People lose interest. The headlines slow down. The attention fades. But somehow, Meghan remains one of the most discussed women in the world. Every interview generates reactions. Every project generates reactions. Every photo generates reactions. Supporters say that's because she remains influential. Critics say it's because controversy follows her wherever she goes. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. People keep talking. And in the modern media world, attention is one of the most valuable currencies there is. That's why this latest birthday photo became much bigger than anyone expected. Within a very short period of time, thousands of comments appeared online. Articles were written. Videos were uploaded. Discussions spread across social media platforms. Suddenly, a simple family celebration was being discussed around the world. And that's when many observers started asking the same question once again. Why does this keep happening? Why does every Meghan Markle story seem to grow into something larger? Is it because of who she is? Is it because of her connection to the royal family? Or is it because audiences have become fascinated by the ongoing story surrounding Harry and Meghan? Whatever the answer may be, one thing is clear. The public's interest in Meghan Markle shows very few signs of slowing down. But here's the twist that many people overlook. The more attention a person receives, the more difficult it becomes to control the narrative. Every photo gets analyzed. Every statement gets interpreted. Every detail gets discussed. At that point, it doesn't matter whether the original intention was simple or complicated. The public conversation takes on a life of its own. And that's exactly what happened here. The birthday photo was posted. The internet reacted. The media amplified the discussion. And suddenly millions of people were talking about something that may have been intended as nothing more than a family moment. Whether that outcome was predictable or surprising depends on your point of view. But by now, it has become a familiar pattern, which brings us to the biggest question of all. If every Meghan Markle photo creates debate, if every public appearance generates headlines, and if every new post starts another round of online discussion, what does that tell us about her relationship with the public today? Has she become one of the most misunderstood public figures in the world? Or has she simply become one of the most closely watched? That's the question people continue debating. And judging by the reaction to this latest photo, that debate is nowhere near finished. In fact, it may only be getting started. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think Meghan Markle is judged more harshly than other public figures? Or do you think the criticism comes with the level of attention she receives? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed today's Royal Tea, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Sussex Tea, and turn on notifications because the next royal headline could be just around the corner.